Hello and peace be with you. Welcome to Barnabas Elders. Someplace it's the 11th of May and it's a Monday and it's noonish someplace, I'm sure. Anyhow, welcome to Barnabas Elders. Good to be with you again. We are encouraging elders being encouraged. That's the whole point. Today I want to talk about the negative take on maturity. In fact, look at this. In 1960s, Dr. Robert Butler, he's the man that developed the National Institutes on Aging, coined the term ageism. Now that was 50 plus years ago. He said it's defined as a process of systematic stereotyping and discrimination against people because they're old. Just as racism and sexism accomplish this with skin color and gender. So ageism, a negative attitude about growing old, is obviously nothing new. I love this part. If you can't see it really well, it says, don't get all weird about getting older. Our age is merely the number of years the world has been enjoying us. That's the right attitude to have. I think that's Ann Krabbe or somebody. The point I want to make here is part of what makes old age hard is we fight it rather than embracing it as just one stage of a universal human pathway. Becoming an elder, and if you can see it, that's capitalized. I'm using elder as a title, y'all. Becoming an elder has its upsides. For instance, the decrease in family and work stress. We're not responsible for everybody and everything anymore. And the increases in contentment. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a fairly content person. Also, there's wisdom and capabilities that accompany most years of old age. Now, this one over here says, there is absolutely nothing to be said in favor of growing old. There ought to be legislation against it. And that's somebody, Patrick Moore. When I asked Miss Judy to find some pieces, she had no trouble finding all kinds of negative statements about maturity. Perversely, even as we who are elders take part in the prejudice against this time of life that we have successfully and effectively accomplished. Y'all getting here is an accomplishment. There are a whole lot of folks who didn't make it. But we contribute to the cultural denigration of maturity. We complain, we enter into the jokes, we add to the negative connotation that comes with being mature. Age prejudice adversely affects our personal approaches to aging. We tolerate attitudes about old age to the degree that we no longer tolerate for racism and ageism. We say, yeah, that's the way it is. You know, black balloons for turning 40 and so many other things. This one says, you know how guys get better looking with age? Yeah, that doesn't last forever. Age bias, age prejudice, including our own bias and prejudice against this stage of life is so profound that actions viewed as outrageous when applied to other people and groups are acceptable when it comes to older adults. Much of what we accept as fact is glass half empty mindset and not a fact. Point. 3 to 4% of folks wind up in a nursing home. Fact. Most folks are only ill in the last year or so, if they're ill at all, prior to their death. That's a fact, y'all. That's glass half empty interpretation an assumption that age-related changes are all for the worst. Yeah, there's some negative stuff, but look at this. If things get better with age, then I must be getting close to freaking magnificent. Age phobia, the fear of age, is understandable because there are challenges. Even people who remain healthy and active as they age will experience changes in strength, endurance, appearance, and some, but not all, will have increasing illness and disability. Youth is the gift of nature, but age is a work of art. Darling, that was wonderful. I love that one. But the facts, y'all, belie the more complex reality of the longest. Our aging process in the last third of life is the longest, most varied times of our lives. Roughly childhood is 20 years, give or take. Our middle age is middle age, the middle part. But this maturity, this elderhood, can be the longest portion of our lives. Our personal and shared attitudes about this time of life are critical. I work with college guys. I tell them all the time, life is 90% attitude, man, and 10% physics. And if you got a good attitude, you don't have to deal with the physics. Our attitude about this is critical. So much time is aimed at youth and middle age. Over here it says the older you get, the better you get, unless you're a banana. Almost nothing points to the glories of being less busy, less harried, less consumed by everything. These elder years of life are given to bring us to the harvest of the effort that we put into our youth and middle age. We studied, we worked, we developed, we had ambition, we invested hugely in so much. Now it's return time. If you know the difference between a front-loaded and a back-loaded fund, we have paid the front load on this life. It says it's important to have a twinkle in your wrinkle. I love that. All right. We must abandon our culturally developed dread and prejudice against this time of our lives. It's our life. Do we want to be prejudiced against our own life? Do we want to dread every minute of the day in our own lives? Listen to this. Age is the antidote to personal destruction. It is the call to spiritual growth, because age finally brings us to the point where there is nowhere else to go but inside for comfort, go inside for wealth, go inside for the things that really count. Wall Street Journal, the magazine, which is all Gucci kind of stuff, the cover this time is, my mind just went blank. It's the Australian Nicole Kidman. I have short-term memory. Nicole Kidman's on the cover. She said something that really struck me, and I'm always reading stuff about us, about this time of life. She says, when you get to the top, there's nothing there. I love that. When you get to the top, there's nothing there. And there is no life at the top without some form of love. I love that. I love that. Only getting older frees us, despite ourselves, from ourselves. We can come to a stunned moment of awareness that God has always been present in our lives. This is a picture of a lady stepping over a couple of rocks. It says, it's not how old you are, It's how you are old. It's not how old you are, it's how you are old. Jules Renard, have no idea who he is. That's a good thought and worth remembering, though. Here's the deal. We have the possibility of decades of living free of driving ambition, of constant stress, of the acquisition of stuff that we can no longer remember why we bought it in the first place. This is a good time of life. I can't see you, but if you have cleaned out closets, raise your hand. Miss Judy and I, we have an area decked over our garage, floor to basement. We call it the land of indecision. It is cleaned out, y'all. There are no significant indecisions left. We have gone through that stuff. How much time have we had? Y'all, I have been through my CD collection and edited it. That's piddling, okay? Now, Southern piddling means this. You're doing something that doesn't have to be done at that moment at all. That's piddling. Working on a lawnmower in December is piddling, y'all. Okay, now you know what piddling is. We have the potential of decades of greater time and energy for generosity and attention to others. Time out on this. You know, thought I had? A bunch of us are solvent. If you got a government check, and we all did pretty much, and you just don't need it, give it to somebody that needs it. For instance, Miss Jean and I are seriously talking about ours going to Honduras. In our companion parish of St. John the Evangelist, which is in a very poor area on a mountainside, those folks are struggling to find food. Just a thought. If you don't need it and you're out in no pocket, give it to somebody that needs it. Back to the point. Generosity is always the point. And attention to others. The confidence to stick to your convictions. We don't waffle near as much as we did when we were younger. And develop exciting new goals. Y'all, Barnabas Elders is an exciting goal for me. Came up 3 years ago through a book I read and shared with many of y'all. This is an exciting new goal for me. We have the prospect of decades of a profound sense of satisfaction in life. We can live that now. In fact, it's a good time to be an elder, y'all. In fact, here's a good attitude to have at this time in life. It's Hebrews 4:15 and 16, one of my personal favorites. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses. Jesus lived through it. No, he did not get old for a very specific reason. But he lived as we live, and he had a set to personally with the devil, so he's got a clue about this stuff. But one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace. God the Father is saying, come here, child, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. In this picture, if you can't quite see it, it says, the Son of Man walked your trail. You can trust him. Good to be with y'all. Encourage somebody today. Peace be with you.